Hi, I'm Carly, and you ain't seen Muffin yet.
Hi, I'm Amanda. Give me all the donuts.
All right, what's up, guys?
We're back.
We are back. This is our second attempt at a cooking video. Baking video. And we are pretty confident that it's going to go better than the last one.
Yes, because this time we're going to use the appropriate amount of ingredients.
Right.
And I've actually made this recipe numerous times, so I actually know what I'm doing this time.
That's good. I don't ever know what I'm doing, so I just listen and do what Carly tells me.
That's the way life should be.
But if you recall our last cookies, they didn't really set up. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, because I forgot flour.
We skimped on the flour, and there are consequences when you do that. So we are going to be very sure to add all the ingredients the appropriate way today.
Yes.
And these cookies are going to turn out. You know what? We are not quitters. We're not going to quit trying, and we're going to get it right this time.
Again, I'm confident these are going to turn out because I've made these numerous times. And I'm going to do a little side note. Amanda and I apologize if we keep looking off the screen. I have a hummingbird feeder right outside the window, and the hummingbirds are super active today, and they're fighting over the feeder, so they're a little distracting.
Like hummingbird brawls outside.
Yeah.
Brawls. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not hummingbird brawls.
So,
Okay,
we haven't even mentioned. So today's recipe, they are white chocolate chip chocolate cookies. One of my favorite because I love white chocolate. In this particular recipe though, you could use peanut butter chips. If you wanted a double chocolate, you could do chocolate chips. What other kind of chips are there?
Butterscotch.
Oh yeah, butterscotch. And then I don't know if they're seasonal, but Hershey's makes a caramel chip. So you could do that too. So you could probably use, I think, probably just about any kind of chip flavor.
Very versatile cookie, it sounds like.
It is. So,
all right, let's get started. What ingredients do we need?
So we need 1 cup of butter, which is
A whole
2 sticks.
2 sticks. Wow.
2 sticks.
Very healthy cookies.
Yes. We'll need 1.5 cups of white sugar, 2 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, or as I like to do, we're going to just use a whole pack of vanilla sugar, 2 cups of flour,
Okay.
so 1/2 cup cocoa, and then we're going to use 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and we're going to mix that into 2 teaspoons of hot water, and we'll demonstrate that, and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
easy enough.
So we're going to start by putting in 2 sticks of butter. And I think if you watched the last video, you don't want your butter too soft, because if your butter is too soft, when you bake your cookie, the butter's going to melt quickly, and so that makes a flattened cookie like pancake or like paper, like thin. I don't like thin cookies. I like a big cookie that's kind of crisp on the outside but chewy in the middle. So my butter, a little softer than I would typically like. When you squeeze it, you can put indentions in it. You don't want to use butter straight out of the refrigerator because it's too hard, and it won't incorporate properly, and then you don't want to overmix your ingredients trying to get it to break down. So I feel like there's a fine line on butter consistency. So again, this is considered probably room temperature. It's probably just a little softer than what I like to use. Putting in 2 sticks of butter. And I think if you watched the last video, you don't want your butter too soft, because if your butter is too soft, when you bake your cookie, the butter's going to melt quickly, and so that makes a flattened cookie like pancake or like paper, like thin. I don't like thin cookies. I like a big cookie that's kind of crisp on the outside but chewy in the middle. So my butter, a little softer than I would typically like. When you squeeze it, you can put indentions in it. You don't want to use butter straight out of the refrigerator because it's too hard, and it won't incorporate properly, and then you don't want to overmix your ingredients trying to get it to break down. So I feel like there's a fine line on butter consistency. So again, this is considered probably room temperature. Probably just a little softer than what I like to use. Okay, so we're gonna put our 2 sticks in, and then we're going to put 1.5 cups of sugar. So I have a little bit of flour on here, but that's okay. We're just gonna keep using it anyway. Okay, that's close. Again, as I said before, I'm not exact. I mean, it's pretty close if you can see that. I mean, there's probably a pinch or so, a little short, but that's okay. So 1.5 cups. You got the 1/2 cup there. Okay, now we're gonna cream this together. And again, start a little slow, so you're, well, plug your mixer in. Then start a little slow. All right, that's better. There we go. So all of our butter and sugar is creamed together. Next, we're gonna put in 2 eggs. Again,
No eggshells.
well, I'll try to do no eggshell. Horrible at cracking eggs, so no eggshells. All right. So, I say so a lot, apparently. I've noticed that. Do 1 egg at a time, though, and I just lightly incorporate it. I just lightly incorporate the first egg, and then I throw in the second egg. Did you hear that big splat it made?
Huge plop.
I'm going to go ahead and do my baking powder or my baking soda really quick. So I take 1 scoop of baking soda. Again, 1 teaspoon. And then 2 teaspoons, and then I do this. I just mix it together. Okay. Real quick incorporation. Call it good. Now we're gonna get to the flour. Make sure we put the appropriate amount of flour this time. So it's 2 cups flour, and again, I'm gonna fluff my flour. Get in there good, fluff it up. Okay. Shake it off. So it's 2 cups of flour. 1. We're short a little bit there, so we'll just redo it. Yeah, that's close enough. Yeah, it's a little heavy, but that's okay. 2. Then we're gonna put our cocoa powder in. Cocoa powder is so messy. I'm just gonna do that to kind of break it up because my scoop is too big to fluff it in there. So 1/2 cup. We'll call that pretty close. Okay. Throw that in there. Previous episode, I went ahead and discussed vanilla sugar. So, again, vanilla sugar. I got this in Germany, so that's in German. Again, I'm just a believer in vanilla sugar. I don't know, I think it takes the baking up a notch. So I'm gonna use 1 packet of vanilla sugar. If you're not using vanilla sugar, it is 2 teaspoons of regular vanilla. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a whole packet of vanilla sugar. Salt. Again, as I said before, I don't measure salt. I just put some in my hand, the palm of my hand, and I say, oh, that looks good. Last time we did it, that was approximately 1/2 teaspoon. This calls for 1/2 teaspoon. I know that's going to be hard to see. So we're going to call that good, and we're just going to sprinkle that in.
A sprinkling of salt.
I don't use a separate bowl to mix my dry ingredients. I just throw them all in here and then incorporate them. So that's all the dry ingredients. Mix in with the wet ingredients, and now we're going to turn this on a low speed because it's going to fly everywhere. And this dough is actually supposed to be sticky, so if it comes out sticky, That's the way it's supposed to be.
Woo! Look at it fly.
All right. So it's not, I don't go crazy incorporating it all right now, like fully mixing it, because I'm gonna throw in I got a bag of white chocolate chips. I mean, I have Hershey's because it was only 10 cents more than like the store brand. So I just went ahead and paid the 10 cents extra. Usually if there's a huge price difference, I always buy generic. Again, I haven't had any issue with name brand versus generic ingredients. I just buy whatever is the cheapest, I guess. So I don't know how the best way to describe this. I never use the whole bag of chips. I don't know why. I just feel like it's too much, but then I only leave the tiniest amount in the bag, so I really don't. I don't really know why I do it. So that looks about good. I mean, if you can see in the bag, like, look, that's the tiny little bit I have left. But I feel like if I put these little bit more in, it's too much. I don't know. Again, it doesn't really make any sense. It's just always what I've done, so that's just always what I do. Okay, so I'm gonna turn on the mixer and then get these chips mixed in. And I usually do up the speed on this just so they get mixed in pretty good. Okay. Right? Like, it's pretty sticky. That dough is supposed to be sticky. I've always made this and it's always sticky dough, so that doesn't concern me this time around.
Unlike the ooey gooey butter cookies.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Oh shoot, we forgot to turn that camera on.
Fail. One day we'll get everything right.
It's my favorite. I don't know why, I just love doing that. Okay, so we've got all the ingredients mixed.
All right.
So, as we've learned from the last video, I make huge cookies. Like most recipes, I'm like, oh, 3 or 4 dozen. I'm like, how come I only got 12 out of mine? So,
That makes sense.
so I don't know why. I just make big cookies.
Also, again, like our last video, we're using these Hot Pop silicone mads.
I use it for all my baking because I hate having to wash my cookie sheets. So
We use it for like anything we have to put in the oven, like frozen French fries. We put
I never
the
did that.
basically anything where you don't want to have to clean your
Which is a pain.
10 whatever this is called, your cookie sheet, because since it has this like mat on top, you really just have to like wipe it down,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like anything you want to put on it.
I never thought about that. I
Yeah.
only use mine for baking, but that makes a lot more sense.
I know.
And I can use it way more.
You can get these on Amazon for $18. It's pack 4.
So it was
there's
a-
different sizes.
Yep.
And there's a link in the show notes.
So you got 2 of that size, and then you get 2 little guys like this. So you get 4 total, 2 bigs and 2 smalls.
Yeah.
All right. So again,
Those are massive. That's not a normal size for a cookie.
yes, it is. Don't listen to Amanda. Again, I know this dough is gonna be sticky. You can see it's sticky on my hands. Amanda says that it's too big of a dough ball. It looks like a meatball actually, but
It's huge. I've never made cookies that size before, but obviously you're the baking expert here, so.
and this is why.
She swears she's made these before and they've turned out great. I'm concerned that they're going to be doughy again.
Those are really large. I think they're a little larger than I normally make, but
She just likes them large, you guys.
no, actually I think it's just because I'm a lazy baker and I don't want to sit. I have this weird, again, I will only bake 1 sheet of cookies at a time. I wait for them to cool, I take them off, and I keep reusing the same sheet. So it takes me forever to bake a couple dozen cookies.
That's what I do. Most people don't do that.
Well, I don't know. I don't. And so it takes forever to bake multiple dozens of cookies. I think that's why I make my cookies so big, because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to keep making more. But here's the problem. Now I'm not gonna have very many that fit on this cookie sheet, and I did actually make these a little too big. That should be more like it. So you know what I'm gonna do real quick? I think I'm gonna take just a hair off of these cookies.
Oh, so you agree with me that they're too big?
Well, they are a little large, yes. So I am gonna take just a little bit off. And again, the goal is to make them all the same size. And I recommend trying to make them right the first time, because again, this dough is sticky. So it's it sticks to the sheet a little bit.
Did you say this is like a family recipe that you're using?
No.
Oh.
I don't have any family recipes. They're all taken from the internet.
So, something found on the internet, but
I've perfected.
oh, okay, she's adjusted a little bit.
I did make a couple tweaks, but
So how many think you'll get on here?
well, I made them a little too big. So right now we're only gonna get 9, but usually I only put 12 on a cookie sheet, so.
Yeah.
Actually I lied. I think we're just gonna get 8.
Okay,
We're gonna get
we'll
8.
go for 8.
Oven again is 350. I always start my cookies at 10 minutes.
No
and
matter what the recipe says, you always just do 10 minutes and then
then
keep
I
going
check them.
up and up and up.
Well, if these were smaller cookies, I would probably only do 8 minutes and
Yeah.
then check them. But based on the size,
Maybe
gonna-
we should do 12 minutes.
I'm gonna start with 10 and then check them. So we're gonna go ahead and put these in.
Okay, we just pulled the cookies out of the oven and we're waiting for them to cool so we can try
we
them.
started at 10 minutes. And it's hard to tell with a chocolate cookie. So when I make regular chocolate chip cookies, when the tops start to brown, I know they're done.
That's
and
hard,
you can't,
'cause
yeah,
these are brown.
These are brown. So I put them for 10 minutes. I always do the pat the top test. So you kind of just lightly pat the top to see if the cookies are firm. If when you kind of touch it, they kind of sink in, you can tell if they're too soft. So we put them back in for 2 more minutes and we're letting them cool. So our total bake time was 12 minutes.
While they're cooling, we just to taste test our cookies, we are tasting them today with some Chateau milk. Chateau, if you don't know, I mean everybody in Kansas City knows about Chateau, I feel like, but they're a local dairy. I almost called it a milkery.
Same thing.
And they have amazing milk,
Oh,
tons
yeah.
of different flavors. My favorite flavor is actually the root beer flavor. I don't know if you've ever had that. Oh gosh, it tastes like root beer float. After you know what's left after you eat the ice cream, it's delicious. But anyways, Chateau
We're gonna
milk.
drink some Chateau with our cookies.
Go.
All right, so this is what happens when you make your cookies too big. So they baked and they spread. So they're not touching too bad, but there's a little touching going on there. So when you, it's not scrape, when you get them off, they're probably gonna just break up a little bit there, but they're still pretty warm.
Moment of truth, warm white chocolate chip cookies. Here we go, give it a try.
Hot.
Hot,
So
delicious.
they have a nice, I wouldn't say crunchy, but they have a nice firm outside and a chewy, gooey inside, which is the way I like my cookies.
Yeah, nice and soft in the middle. So, I would say this baking attempt was much better than our last one.
Mm-hmm.
The cookies
actually
actually formed and cooked
They actually cooked.
and turned out good.
And they're not just mushy balls of dough, so.
So, if you want to try out this recipe,
Look, I can actually pick this cookie up
oh,
and show you. Improvement.
we'll put a link to the recipe in the show notes. Also, if you want to see more awesome baking videos by Carly and myself, by mostly Carly with just my commentary, subscribe to our channel.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.